Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm sporting my glasses today. I felt in the mood for wearing my glasses. I'm going to be talking about how expensive Bali is. Now, I went to Bali 2 years ago, just a little disclaimer. And so prices obviously normally change, but I'll give you a little rundown of just the basics if you're planning on traveling to Bali and you are looking at doing like a budget or something. So just to give you a little idea about currency, so I've just had a little look at how much the Indian rupees, which is their currency, is to the pound, and at the moment it is 17,378.60 to £1. So obviously, as you can probably tell, you're going to get a lot for your money. I also kept a note of how much it was when I went, and it was about 16,000. So it's actually gone up a tiny weeny bit, which again means that you're going to get quite a lot for your money, even more than when I went. So I have done some videos of our time in Bali before on this channel, so I will obviously link them below, up there, wherever, if you want to check them out and see what we got up to. Just a little disclaimer, Bali definitely isn't the cheapest place in Asia. I did about 6 countries in Southeast Asia, and Bali was probably one of the most expensive. Definitely not expensive as Singapore, where the Singapore dollar is like 2 to the pound. But I think compared to like other places in Asia, it's definitely not the cheapest place. And I think this is because Bali has become so popular over the past, I don't know, 3 or 4 years or something like that. It has been like the place to go to, and it is beautiful. I obviously, as I said in other videos, I absolutely loved Lombok, which is next door to it, and the Gili Islands, and it is slightly cheaper. I would obviously definitely recommend going to Bali, and it's such a beautiful place, but hopefully this will kind of give you an idea of where to prioritize your money. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break it down into categories so you can kind of tell what kind of expenses you're going to have. Obviously, flights are going to be expensive if you're going from the UK. They're not like hugely expensive, but it depends whether you're going to be going one way and then going on from Bali and traveling around Southeast Asia, or whether you're going to be just doing a return flight. So when we did it, we actually did it from New Zealand, and from New Zealand to Bali, it was about £250 just one way. If you're looking at kind of a one-way ticket from the UK, you're looking at kind of £300, £400. If you're looking at a return flight, you're probably looking about £750, something around that kind of mark. Obviously, prices change dramatically over such a short period of time. Obviously, if you're already in Asia, it is so cheap to get around. I mean, I did flights for like £10, £15 when I was out there, just one way. So you could probably really cheaply get there if you are currently traveling, or you're going to be going to Bali from another Asian country. I have to say, when it comes to accommodation, it is definitely, funnily enough, one of the cheapest places that we stayed in, because we were able to stay in some places in really beautiful hotels that over here will probably be about 3 stars, 4 stars, for about £18 a night. So if you're having a double room, that's £9 per person. It's just ridiculous. So you can stay in a really nice area. Like when we stayed in Seminyak, we were really near the beach. We were just like a 5-minute walk from it, and it cost us pennies. We mainly booked through booking.com, which was absolutely fantastic for finding smaller independent hotels or kind of guest houses. Airbnb has got some great choices as well. So just have a little look around and you'll find a bargain. If you are looking at doing kind of a hostel situation, then you can kind of find beds and bunks for like between £7 to £10, something like that. Again, totally depends on the area, but if you're traveling in a couple, we actually found that sometimes it was cheaper to get a double room and then obviously split the cost between the two of us. Now, transport is a tricky one because there actually isn't a huge amount of transport around Bali. There is something called Bluebird, which is kind of the main taxi service over in Bali and Lombok. You can book a taxi by an app, a little bit like Uber, but that's pretty much it, apart from like hiring a bike or a car. Obviously, if you want to kind of go for a little bit more luxury, then you can definitely like hire someone to drive you around. That is obviously an option. It is obviously more expensive, but if you want to do that, that's totally fine. We found that getting a bike was obviously definitely the cheapest way. We found that we could get a bike for about £3.50 a day. I mean, just crazy. So if you want to go kind of the authentic Asian transport way, you can get a bike for under £5, which is pretty cool. Now, when it comes to food and drink, you will find that this is where the prices start to go up, because Bali had some beautiful Instagram worthy cafes which everyone wants to go to, so obviously they're going to hike up the prices quite a bit. And that's what we found in some of the popular areas like Ubud and Seminyak. So obviously if you want to do that, if you want to go and find a nice spot for a cute picture, then you're going to have to accept that food is going to be a little bit more expensive. The quality is still there, but they do hike the prices up. There are places that are cheaper if you are not necessarily in the really touristy areas. I mean, we were able to find some really great places along like Ubud High Street that weren't super expensive. They weren't particularly pretty places to eat, but the food was amazing and it was a lot cheaper than some of the other places. So we found that if we were eating out kind of 2 times a day, it was coming to around between £7 to £10 per person. Obviously that's like nothing compared to over here in the UK, but in other parts of Asia you can get a meal for under £2, and that's cool, including a drink and maybe 2 dishes. So in Bali it is a bit more expensive. We found that most places we stayed at had breakfast included, so we didn't need to worry about counting breakfast into our budget for food. Also, there are some great supermarkets around that you can get some snacks. If you've got a fridge in your room, you can put some stuff in there if you want to kind of keep costs down. Now, when it comes to activities in Bali, obviously you can do some water sports, assuming as you're in a beautiful island with beautiful beaches. You can take surfing lessons, which start from about £10, depends on where you go. We did some snorkeling trips and they cost us about £6 a day, and that was including food and everything, so they're really great value for money. And with scuba diving, at the time when I was looking, I couldn't really find anything that was under £70. But again, have a shop around. Obviously, if you want to do scuba diving, it's a beautiful place to do it. If, however, you just want to kind of soak up the culture of Bali, the main thing you're going to be spending your money on with activities is entrance fees to temples and different attractions. These entrance fees are so ridiculously cheap. I mean, I'm talking, some of them will be maybe like 5,000 rupiah or 10,000 rupiah, which is nothing. Absolutely nothing, which is great because you can see loads and loads of different places for a really small cost. So I think I averaged, when it came to attractions, going to see a couple a day, I think we averaged it as about £1.50 per day, spending it on activities, which is crazy. If you're staying in somewhere like Ubud, which is kind of like a hub of different cultural places to go and see, but you don't really have a great way of getting around, I really recommend actually hiring a car for the day and getting someone to drive you around. A, it's air conditioned, and B, they sometimes add in the entrance fees into the cost of hiring that person for the day. We actually got the person who ran the guest house and they offered to drive us around for a really good price. So definitely ask your guest house or your hotel if they do any tours around, because they're really good value for money. So I think if you're looking at like a daily budget, I was kind of looking at the time, obviously, at about between £18 to £23 per day. And this was including everything, accommodation, all the things that I have said, obviously not flights, but all of the kind of main things. That's what it kind of came to. If you're going to be spending about a month in Bali, you get really good value for money, as you do in Asia if you're spending a long time there. I think we spent around between £500 and £600 for our whole time in Bali, which was absolutely fantastic. And obviously we didn't just do Bali, we did the neighboring islands as well, which were a little bit cheaper. So all in all, I think you can easily do a good trip to Bali for not a lot of money. There we go. I hope you enjoyed this little budget roundup of how expensive Bali is. Please don't be put off, and as well you can factor in that there are other islands very near to Bali which you can go to for a really small cost. You can fly to Lombok from Bali for about £10 return. I mean, what more excuse do you need to go and visit Lombok? And the Gili Islands as well, you can get a boat there for pretty cheap as well. So I really recommend Bali. I did love it, but do factor in that it's not as cheap as places like Vietnam or Thailand or places like that. So do let me know if you enjoyed this. Please do comment down below if you're thinking of going to Bali, if you've been, what has been the cheapest place you've ever been to. If you're new, please do subscribe and give this video a big thumbs up, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.